We appreciate you joining us today. Kicking off a brand new week, we are pleased to welcome Representative Fred Shanks, member of the Mississippi House of Representatives for District 60. That's Rankin County, serves as the chair of the House Rules Committee. Representative Shanks, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely, Gerard. Always glad to be here.
So as chair of the Rules Committee, you have the honor of making a motion to end the session every day.
That's right. Making a motion to do anything. But yeah, I think everybody appreciated when I said sine die this time.
Exactly right. They're all looking at you.
In fact, I think everybody clapped. So.
That's right. When's Fred going to let us go home?
Yeah, I had a lot of I could feel it.
Well, your thoughts about the session this year?
Well, I think we got a lot done, and we took on a lot of controversial issues. I was kind of glad just bring them on. Jason White, Speaker White, had told us early, before the session started, like, look, it's going to be a tough one, and we're going to take on, all these big issues that are complicated, and he wasn't lying, and we did, and I thought things came out really well, and we got a lot of things done. The first part of the session, we had 2 special sessions in a session, and we did, 2 huge economic development projects, $1 billion things in Madison and Marshall County. Yeah. So, yeah, and on top of just everything else we did, I think it was very productive, especially to be, for Speaker White to be not new to the legislature, but obviously new as Speaker. We were 100 miles an hour.
I don't think I've ever seen the pace in the legislature as it was this year. You think?
Oh, 100%. This is my 7th session, and you may have one of those big topics or controversial type issues, but not all of them. And we did all of them, and I liked it. I mean, I like moving, moving and shaking. So it was a good one.
Well, if nothing else, you guys addressed a lot. You talked about a lot. And, of course, they're like you said, they're controversial, thorny issues that require a lot of thought. And I know the Speaker knew that, and I don't think he was bashful about the fact that, we might not get some of this stuff done this year, but we're going to talk about it, get it on the table, and keep talking about it.
Yeah, we did. He is not scared of the devil. So it was good to hear both sides, and then the House side, the Senate position, and to really just get it out there, and because if you don't at least open the door and start talking about it, you're never going to get to it.
Yeah,
so, I like that.
Yeah, well. Little different style, perhaps, than Speaker Gunn, but nonetheless, I mean that's what the members wanted, and I think he's an effective leader.
Absolutely,
really do.
Absolutely. The first big test of, I guess, the caucus was the ballot initiative, and we passed it out of the House. That was one of the first things we did, and it showed that the caucus is tight and able to get these. Well, first we had to suspend the rules to do it, so that took a 2/3 vote, and then of course the initiative itself did as well. So that was kind of the first test, I guess you would say, of where we were at, and after that we've remained close to each other, tight, and talked things out, worked it out, and had a real productive session.
And I just want the folks to know by saying different style, that's not a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying they're just different people with a different style.
Yeah,
they're both very effective leaders.
Yeah, Gunn had done many tremendous things in his 12 years, and I think he's still wanting to stay engaged, and possibly do some future things, and I hope he does. And Jason is, jump right in, and I mean there was no learning curve. He jumped right in, and boom, we were off. So
when you look at all the issues that were addressed, perhaps the one that kind of stands out to me that involved perhaps the greatest accomplishment, the most reform, that's education funding.
Absolutely.
That's a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. I'm sure your listeners are somewhat familiar with MAEP, and we totally rewrote that. And, I give a lot of credit to McCarty, Owens, and Robinson on doing that. And we called it the Inspire Act on the House side. And, no, it's a great plan. MAEP was hardly anybody could understand how the formula worked. And it was really a way that you could never fund it fully. Yeah. You're always behind, no matter how much money you threw at it. So, that was, one of the things I'm real proud of as far as supporting. I think it's a really good deal.
So we got that done. That's a pretty big deal. And I was somewhat disappointed that we didn't make more progress on getting some of the education choice options enacted. I know Representative Robertson worked really hard on that, Kent McCarty as well with the Education Committee. But it sounds like the plan is to form a task force perhaps and continue to study that issue.
Yeah, there was discussion about it this year, but I think, like you said, when we rewrote MAEP, it took so much out. It was such a big topic.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to get past that, it kind of got pushed away just a little bit.
Lot to deal with.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that'll be on the radar again next year, more than likely. Now, I know something you were heavily involved in, also Representative Price Wallace, and that's the ballot initiative. Man, we just can't seem to get that one across the finish line.
I felt really good about it this year. It's just more optimistic. This is the third year I've been involved with it. Representative Wallace did a great job as chairman, and like I said, we got it done first. We sent it down to the Senate, but we had talks about it. They did get it out of committee. And I thought we were a little bit ahead of the game, but it just didn't cross the finish line. Yeah.
Well, you think that'll come up again next year?
Yeah, I've talked to Price off and on about it after it failed in the Senate. And, I think the plan is to, we certainly are still talking about it. And I think we'll bring it back up. It's just kind of going to depend on what we know with the Senate, kind of where they're at.
It seems like it. There's just a difference of opinion on how that ought to be structured from the House and the Senate.
That's right.
At this point.
That's right.
That could be a way you could describe a lot of the key issues. I think, right?
That's accurate.
I mean, almost across the board.
Yeah. 100%.
And that's fine. I mean, that's why we have the two bodies and deliberate. What was amazing to me, though, Representative Shanks, is that how much actually got done in like the last 2 days, 3 days. I mean, a lot of stuff just sort of bubbled up to a boiling point, and then there was a flurry to get stuff done.
Yeah, it's usually that way, but not to this magnitude that we had this session.
I don't remember seeing it quite to that level as it was this year.
Yeah, it seemed like towards the end it was something every hour. This is what it felt like.
Everybody was worn out. So the good news, though, is we got reports from the Legislative Budget Office that our revenues came in year to date. We're above the sine die estimates for fiscal year 2024 by $134 million, I think. So, and that's with the decrease of the income tax. We're still phasing out the 5%. We got rid of the 4%. Now we're year one of phasing out the 5% down to 4%. So, but folks got more money in their pocket, they're spending it, so sales tax collections are up.
That's right. And we've had, since Philip Gunn, we've had, conservative leadership in the House, and our policies on that has worked out well.
I know Representative Leancy has posted that he's going to be involved in, I guess, a task force that's going to be analyzing the prospect of full elimination of the income tax, something that the Speaker would like to do.
Absolutely. Of course, we're for that in the House. I think the governor's on board, and Lee's he's a good one to be on there.
Yeah.
We've got several task force popping up over that we're going to be working over the summer on various issues, that being one of them, and hopefully we'll get the grocery tax in there too.
Yeah. Well, I know that's something that's high on a lot of folks' list as well. Just something with respect to eliminating the tax burden on Mississippians when we're experiencing strong revenues and growth in that respect. In fact, you guys just approved a budget that even though you budgeted, I can't remember the exact figure in terms of $7-point-something billion, you're spending less than that, and that's after you carve out some for the rainy day fund, 2%, I believe. Still in good shape there, where we're going to produce a surplus. That's what the estimate is for fiscal year 25.
Yeah, we've been in good shape for a couple of years, and we'll continue to be for the foreseeable future.
So we got to give some of that money back. That's the deal, right?
Yes. hey, I'm all for it.
And I know the Speaker is. I know the Governor is. I'm looking at it here. Looks like that our expenditures are expected to be $7 billion, and our revenue is estimated $7.6. and then we're going to carve out $152 million. It looks like $7.6 billion, $152 million for the rainy day fund. So we're still in good shape.
Yeah.
I mean, we're projecting revenues well above spending. So I mean, that's what I call fiscal responsibility.
Absolutely.
We got to push to give some of that money back to the people.
Hey, let's do it.
We got Representative Fred Shanks in the Element Well studio. We're taking a break with Representative Fred Shanks from Rankin County. Rankin County really has a strong delegation, too.
Absolutely.
You guys do.
Absolutely.
And always enjoy seeing you guys and working with you.
Yeah, we stay in touch. We talk, pretty much talk every day in some form or fashion, and kind of keep up with each other and eat lunch together all the time. And all have each other's backs.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah. So stuff that didn't get finished, we talked about. The ballot initiative is, of course, one of those that didn't get done. I think school choice options, the speaker was pretty aggressive, had an aggressive agenda for that.
Yeah.
Had a really good bill and just couldn't get it across the finish line, but I don't think he's given up on that.
No.
And then tax reform.
Yep.
He's made it very clear his desire to get more done, to put money in the pockets of the people instead of the government, and just went through these budget figures. We're still projecting a tidy surplus going into next year, and that's without the benefit of all the federal COVID money that I think drove a lot of the surpluses in the past. We have a pretty strong economy right now, so I think he wants to continue to work on that. Healthcare, that's a complicated issue. Don't want to get into all that. Man, we beat that to heck and back. But I think there's going to be continued discussion on how to address that issue in the state.
Absolutely. Another one that we tried this year with Representative Price Wallace is we had a suffrage bill that we brought up, and I think we're going to definitely try that again. We had a lot of Republican support on it on our side, and something I enjoyed working on, and cross the aisles.
Okay.
And we're going to give that another try coming up. So.
And we got the SAFER Act.
Absolutely.
Pardon me for failing to mention that. That was a big deal that went down on the last day.
It did. It, got probably caught up on a little politics and ended up suspending the rules to bring it back up. And, that was an absolute home run.
And I'm glad we did suspend the rules. It would have been ridiculous to wait another year to get that just common sense legislation.
That's right.
Passed. Senator Josh Harkins, of course, a big part of that. Representative Celeste Hurst also has part of Rankin County heavily involved. Now, a lot of folks were.
Yeah.
Them in particular, my representative, Jill Ford, also involved in that somewhat. Representative Dana McClain, of course, had a part. A lot of folks did.
Yeah. We even had Riley Gaines, the swimmer. Her roommate came down to the Capitol and got to meet
Paula.
her. Yeah, I talked to her, and that was real interesting to hear kind of her side on, somebody who was there on how crazy that whole situation was, and so it was really neat to meet her and get her perspective.
We had her on the show, I believe.
That's right.
Exact same day.
Yeah.
So we can point to those, I think, as accomplishments, and we talked about these other 3 or 4 things that the certificate of need loss.
Yeah.
We got close.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Senate's a graveyard for stuff like that. It seems like mobile sports betting. Your colleague, Representative Casey Yurt.
Yeah.
Put together a great bill on that.
I really hope we get that through next year. Kind of, talking to people kind of in my age group. I mean, nobody that I kind of hang out with really is a big casino goer.
Yeah.
But now, if you could be at home and put something on a game on the weekend, it goes through a Mississippi casino. Everybody wins. Most, the casinos do. They would absolutely do that.
I think we got to get this done, man.
Yeah.
We got to get it done. Yeah. I think we can do it in a reasonable, fair, responsible way. I think the people really want this. Let's get that done. I hope folks are listening on the Senate side in particular, because it passed easily in the House.
Yeah, it did.
I know we had some Democrat opposition, but I think we assuaged most of their concerns.
Yeah. And again, it goes through. It has to go through a Mississippi casino.
Yeah.
So the state wins. The state will make a lot of money, and hopefully some people betting will too.
Absolutely. All right. You know that up in Washington, D.C., each state has statues that are designed to kind of represent the states specifically and sort of make their mark. You've been involved in this somewhat. There's perhaps a move afoot to replace Mississippi's present statues. Tell us about that.
Well, I got asked about it this session.
Okay.
Being the rules chairman. but we had so many things going on. It just, the way I looked at it at the time, Washington, D.C. is a long way from Mississippi.
That's right.
Does that affect everyday Mississippians? No, it does not. So I just really just kind of pushed it aside. I've been asked several times since then, if I wanted to, if I wanted to do something about it. And I said that, I will look at it.
Yeah.
I haven't, there's a lot of things to consider. I mean, one, you got to see if you got support to do it. That's number one. How much does it cost? It's because you're going to have to, if that was the case, you'd have to have somebody make a statue. You're going to have to ship one home, move one up there. There's just a lot of variables to really look at. But yeah, there has been, there's been some conversations about it. I still don't really know how I feel outside of those two statues were there. They've been there since 1931. It's Jefferson Davis and James Z. George.
Yep.
And, I was asked, well, how do you feel that Arkansas moved? They put a new statue up there. It was the civil rights leader right next to one of our statues. And, that really didn't, persuade me to do anything one way or the other. I would look at it more like, if that was to be the case, maybe, they've been there for 80 years to do something that would be totally opposite of kind of who's there. And I'll be real honest with you. If anything does pass, one of them's going to be, Elvis or nothing.
I got you. I hear you. So House Minority Leader Robert Johnson, the Democrat, has been on the program many times from Natchez. He filed a resolution, right, this past year to make some changes, and I think he would like to see statues of civil rights icon Fannie Lou Hamer and Hiram Revels, the first African-American to serve in Congress. He'd like to see our present statues replaced with statues of those two individuals.
Yeah. And I'd heard that, and there was some conversations about it. But, we'll definitely be looking at it, coming up.
Okay. I think, was there not perhaps a bill or a resolution filed by, was it Derek Simmons, who's a minority leader in the Senate side?
Yeah.
I think he filed something to create like a study group, a commission, if you will.
He may have. I haven't.
Okay.
I'm not real sure on that.
Okay. So it and there's some other states, as you know, that also had folks from the Civil War era representing them in Washington, and they have replaced those with other figures.
Yeah. Something to think about for sure, and you can just kind of see where it goes.
Is something you've talked to other members about?
Yeah, a few. And that kind of comes into the main thing is do you have the votes to do it?
Yeah,
that's going to be the big if we even get to that point. So the big point is the takeaway is do you have the votes? So there'll be a lot of conversations about it, and some of my colleagues have reached out. They don't want to do it.
Okay.
And then I obviously have some who do, and then some are like, I don't really care one way or the other.
Okay.
It's not Mississippi, it's in Washington.
Yeah.
I don't see it. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of all across the board right now.
You could do some fun things with Elvis in a statue, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could. I'm telling you, if he isn't on the, he isn't up there, then, I'm done.
Certainly needs to be considered.
Absolutely,
minimum, right?
Absolutely. And that's something we can discuss and talk about, and I would be interested to hear everybody's opinion on who they think.
Yeah.
If we get to that point.
Just had the Elvis Presley Festival in Tupelo. Was it this past weekend? I think, Rhino. Yeah. In fact, I talked to somebody. There's also a big. We spoke to the person who runs that. Jennifer, is that her name? Rhino, I believe. That runs the Elvis Festival. We talked to her a week or so ago. I think it's Jennifer Bradford, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But nonetheless, what she was talking about was at the same time there's some big baseball tournaments going on, youth sports tournaments. So I talked to somebody yesterday whose grandson was playing and said that they had run into some people from across the pond who were in Tupelo to come see the Elvis, to participate in the Elvis Festival. How about that?
Unreal.
So he's known worldwide.
Yeah.
He probably is known better than any other person as a Mississippian in the world.
100%.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. And my now wife, by the way, one of the things I did, I got married when we got out of
That's
session.
Right. Congratulations to you and Kristen.
Yeah, Kristen's from Memphis, so I absolutely love going to Graceland.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think there's any more recognized person than him from Mississippi.
Wonder how the folks would think about that.
I think they would like it.
Okay. Well, it'd be a change, but I'm just thinking all the other statutes are kind of proper and prim and formal, so to speak, kind of stuffed, shirty looking, you know,
kind of shake
dignified.
It up.
What about Elvis with a guitar or something, huh? With his leg up in the air.
That's
something
it.
Like that.
That's it. I think it'd be cool. I'm a 1970s Elvis guy, though. I like 70s Elvis.
Okay. I got you. So, Burning Love.
There you go. There you go.
Appreciate you coming on there, Representative Fred Shanks. Take care, sir. Thank you.
Anytime.
Folks, we're stepping aside for a break, coming right back in the Element Well studio.